I might cook breakfast occasionally, but I never make dinner.
And I don't take the trash out because it's not my job. There's been a lot of women complaining lately about their husbands not doing enough around the house. And I feel like the solution to that is actually traditional gender roles, which are very misunderstood.
My wife Tina is joining me today. We've been married for going on 23 years. We have 6 kids that we've raised together. And we're going to give you our perspective on why traditional gender roles have worked really well for us. They've worked for a lot of families, but they seem to kind of be under attack these days.
When I imagine what it's like in households where both the husband and the wife are working, it seems like that allows for a lot of confusion. And I could totally understand how, if they both are getting home from work at the same time, that it's going to be ambiguous as to who's going to cook dinner, who's going to take care of the kids. And that just seems like a very stressful situation. I mean, just the simplest thing, like what kind of dishwashing detergent each of you prefers, is going to be an issue. Whereas if everybody has their own roles, their own things that they're responsible for, they do it their own way and everything goes into line. For example, if both of us are together and the whole family is going somewhere, who's going to drive?
I'm going to drive.
Yeah, we're not going to be standing there. There's no conversation about
Right.
that,
Unless
right?
I have something to do, which is unusual, because I'm not going to be looking away from the road while you're driving.
Stop. If we hear crashing glass in the middle of the night or something like that, you're going to be the one.
That's my job. That's my role, right? Just same like when the babies were crying in the middle of the night. Like I didn't get up.
Yeah, because it was your job to get up and go to work the next morning, so you needed to sleep and you didn't have what it took to nurse the babies.
Right.
So that was me.
Not a whole lot I could do for them, right? Well, I mean, that's an important point though, is we have strengths. There's certain things that, one partner might be good at and the other is not so good at. So why not just do what we're good at?
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes it's opposite. Like I am just a get it done type of person. So I'm terrible with ironing. So if he wants his shirt to look nice, he's got to iron it himself.
I iron all my own clothes. Yeah. She doesn't do good at that. So, but yeah. I mean, she washes all the clothes. So
yeah, we knew a family a long time ago where the husband was much more in tune with the children. And so he stayed home and his wife was a go-getter and she worked. And I feel like it was better for the children that way, but still it worked well because they had their roles.
Right. Well, it's just like any team. You can't have a team who is united around accomplishing the same goals and they're both doing the same parts, right? You got to play different positions to accomplish those goals. So this idea of, trying to split everything 50-50, it just really doesn't work that way, especially if you have one who stays home and the other who works outside of the house. But then with that come responsibilities as well. Like if you stay home, like that's your job. You need to treat it as your job and take it seriously. One of the interesting things about Tina's philosophy with that is she gets dressed during the day. Like she doesn't wear her pajamas. She gets dressed up. Most days she'll fix her hair and put makeup on. And so when people would come over to the house during the day, neighbors or whatever, they'd be like, "Oh, are you going somewhere? Or did you get back from somewhere?" And she's like, "No, like I'm dressed. Like that's what we should be doing."
Yeah. Many years ago, I saw this somebody speaking and they were talking about how you need to understand your husband is going to work every morning and they're going to be around women who got up and got dressed and they're taking care of themselves and they're at work and they do not want to come home to their wife in pajamas who's been just laying around doing nothing all day. I mean, I wouldn't have done that to begin with, but that really stuck with me. I mean, men are visual people and it's rude. Like he did his job, he went to work. He doesn't need to come home and have a sloppy wife. Now what is that trad wives thing? Like that's stupid.
Right. Yeah. So the whole trad wives thing, I'm sure you've heard of it, where women get all fancied up, their hair and makeup and these cute little aprons, and they prance around the house in heels with a little duster, and then they're making recipes from scratch, and it's for show. It's not really sustainable. You got to think about why is she really doing that?
Yeah, it's kind of self-centered to be spending hours on your hair and makeup and stuff like that. That's not what we're talking about. It's just like having a little respect. I feel like empathy is a really important part of a marriage. We had some friends years ago that Jason and the husband of that family were deployed for a few months, and When they were coming home, I was talking to the wife, as the military guys were coming off of the planes and everything. And she was like, I'm going to have him make me dinner tonight because he hasn't had to make dinner for the past several months. I've been doing everything. And I just felt so sorry for that husband. He had been away from his family, lonely, eating bad food. He was either freezing cold or hot all the time.
It's not like he was on vacation, right? So same thing with when guys are at work and the woman is like, she stays home and she's like, I'm just going to hand the kids to him because I've been dealing with the kids all day. Well, he's been at work also, right? Taking care of a house is a lot of work, but who's to say that what your husband is doing is not a lot of work also.
Yeah. And that's not to say that the husband should be sitting around playing video games while you've got a kid in the arm and you're making dinner and doing laundry at the same time. It should be equal. Mm-hmm. It should. But I think we need to have some empathy and be thinking about what the other person is going through.
Right. So think about it this way too. Maybe if you stayed home, what needs to be done. Okay. And they're not thinking about that. When the husband comes home, maybe his mind is on something else, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're going to get mad at him, but that doesn't solve anything. How about just tell him? Just tell him what you expect.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, but in their defense, the people that complain about that, I totally understand how if you have like all these things in your brain, because women think about all these things at the same time. And if the husband comes in and he's like, what can I do? Like, that's just adding one more thing. And so again, there needs to be kind of systems right? So it comes with communication and planning.
Right.
I do feel like I should acknowledge the sacrifice that it takes to be a stay-at-home mom. It was really hard for me at first to go from being a graduate student, working toward a prestigious degree and career and having a good job, to all of a sudden staying at home and having people asking.
Just being independent, military dependent.
Oh yeah, I was a military dependent. That was so hard because I had to put my husband's social security number on everything. Mm-hmm. Like that was a dramatic change, and people would ask him what he did, and they never asked me what I did, and I didn't feel like I had a good answer for that at first. Before our baby was born, I stopped working while I was pregnant with her. But then once she was born, there was no going back. And
hold it together, woman.
I can't imagine anything better than being a mom and being the one that's fully responsible.
Not having to share your time with somebody else. Like your baby needs you, but your boss is calling you.
Yeah.
You got a project that needs to be done.
Yeah.
If you are a dual income family, I just ask you to reconsider what your priorities are. I know for us, we have made a lot of sacrifices to have my wife raise the kids. We did not want our kids going to daycare. We wanted them to be our children, okay, not raised by other people. We wanted them to be taught our values and be raised in our home. And so when she was working on her master's degree when we got married, and she decided not to finish it when she was pregnant with our first. She was going to be a PsyD, a marriage and family therapist, and estimated income maybe about $100,000 a year. So we gave that up over the past 20 years. So quick math, about $2 million of lost income. But again, our priority was to raise our children and have the type of close-knit family that we wanted to have. And so you got to consider, do you really need the two incomes? You hear a lot of complaining about the cost of childcare these days. Well, I kind of see it as there's a simple solution to that. One of the parents might have to make a sacrifice and stay home, because ultimately in the end, people aren't going to say, oh, I wish I had worked more, right? I wish I had my career, especially if their kids didn't turn out the way they wanted them to turn out, right? So you got to consider, is it worth the sacrifices? Do you really need that boat? Do you really need the vacations that you take every year?
If that's Starbucks every day.
Right, exactly. So if that's what your dual income is paying for, I mean, you just gotta reassess where you're at, priorities.
Yeah, and we know there are people who actually need dual income. Like one person is not capable of providing housing and food for whatever reason.
Right.
And that's a totally different story. But still, communication and organization comes in and rolls.
Yeah. So again, I know it's not for everybody, but I really think
Mhm.
this is the best solution to a lot of the disharmony in marriages today is traditional gender roles. Again, it's worked for us.
Mhm.
No shade on anybody who, doesn't have a traditional family or doesn't want to apply these practices, but I'm just saying for us, it's the solution that just makes sense.
Yeah, and when I was in college, I worked at a daycare, and this huge moment of clarity for me was when I would take care of this one baby boy. And every day when the mom came to pick him up, he would cling to me. And he started calling me mama, and he didn't want to go to his real mom because I was spending just as many, maybe more hours per day with him than his mom. And I thought, I never want this for my children.
That's rough. So hopefully this is giving you something to think
Mhm.
about if you don't already share this perspective. But either way, we'd like to hear your thoughts. So please leave a comment and love to hear from you. Thanks for watching.